And welcome everyone to our monthly Pulse webinar. Today, where we're going to be, our MAPS Coaching Pulse webinar, excuse me, make sure I get the full title in there. Really excited for today. It's one of my favorite subjects of all time, which is unlimited listing leads. And obviously, as our climate changes in our new world of our NAR changes and all this fun stuff, no better time on earth to really dive deep into making sure that we always are aware of the model. Leads, listings, leverage. It's built billion-dollar businesses. It'll never change. And we're going to have a lot of fun today. If you're joining us for the first time, my name is Brendan Bartic. I've been in residential real estate for just over about 22 years now. And during the course of that time, I built my entire business on listings. I came into a world where that's the way that I was taught. That's the way my mentors ran their companies. And so I've been trying to perfect that game for the last 20 some odd years. And I hope to share some of those insights with you today. In addition, I'm also the CEO of Colorado's largest and number one real estate team, Elite Home Partners. In the last 12 months, we've done just over $6.5 million in gross commission income, just about $270 million in sales volume. Not saying that to impress you on any way, just saying to impress upon you. We have a passion for this, and hopefully I'll be able to share some of that with you today. Before we get started, my friend and business partner, Anna McCall, is going to keep us safe. And so, Anna, what do we need to know to be safe in our world?
Absolutely. Well, welcome to the webinar, everyone. I'm excited to be here. And as always, we want to deliver you the top strategies from across the country from the top agents and teams. However, as you implement these strategies, we want to ensure that you know we are educational entertainers. And so you need to check with your managing broker or your local attorney to make sure that you stay within the highest level of compliance. The last thing I'll say is if you have any questions throughout the webinar, go ahead, pop them in the chat box. I'm going to be there sharing resources and information throughout the next 60 moments. Or you can also use the reaction, raise your hand, and join the conversation with Brendan. With that, Brendan, take it away.
Thanks so much, Anna. And just so we know as we move forward, again, when you're asking questions, anything like that, this is recorded. A replay will go out afterwards through the MAPS coaching portal so that you'll be able to have that as well. But we'll save a lot of time at the end for deep dive questions on not only listing leads, but anything that you might have concerns with. But yeah, light up that chat box, raise your hand. We're going to have some fun. Let's rock. Okay. So first thing, this will be interactive. So if you're on video, I appreciate it. It makes my life a lot more exciting to see all of your wonderful faces. And as we jump into this, the first piece is on a piece of paper in front of you right now, or if you're driving or walking, don't do this. I want you to write down how many listings you are going to take and sell before now and the end of the year, December 31st. So please make sure that you take a moment to give that some thought. I do this in almost every single class that I ever teach, just to always wrap our mindset around we have to start with clarity and have a clear goal. So how many listings are you going to take and sell before now and the end of the year? And Kazan already jumping on that. And now, once you have that number, if you'd like to share it in the chat box, please do so. Would love to see that number. If you don't feel comfortable with that, no worries whatsoever as well, but would love to see that in the chat box. Thank you, John. Thank you, Stacy. Excellent, excellent. So now, as we start to think of that number, the next piece that we have to think about is how many listing appointments are we going to need to have to make that a reality. So we're going to set this up today to make sure we're clear on how many listings we're going to sell, how many listing appointments we're going to need to have, and then where we're going to go get those listing appointments, those unlimited listing leads. That's the reason you're here today. So if you have put down the number 6, let's just say, for example, Lacey Randolph, welcome. How many, and I'm not speaking directly to her, how many listing appointments do you need to go on to make sure that you sell 6 listings by the end of the year? Now, before you put a number in the chat box or think this through, we know that number from tracking it for years and years and years is generally 50%. And sometimes when I say this number, people get, they're like, wow, my conversion's way better than that. And let me just finish before you think through this number is the challenge that we have right now as professional listing specialists is some of us aren't, number one, doing enough cold business, meaning non-referral, non-sphere, my cousin Tony, wants to sell his house business. When you move into a business where you're going to have tons of listing leads, you're going to, number one, turn down a lot more listings than you probably have in the past. You're going to go meet with someone, they're going to have unrealistic expectations. You're not going to get on the same page for price. Sometimes you're not going to like them, they're not going to like you. So that's the reason for a 50% ratio, is knowing that I'm going to need to go on 12 listing appointments to take 6 and sell 6 in the next 12 months, or excuse me, by the end of December 31st. So if you don't know your ratio, now a lot of us use tracking mechanisms. We have CSU and all of these different things, and you're entering your numbers, or you're using Clarity now in our programs and different things. Then you will know your actual conversion. If you know your number, great, right? That's awesome, right? But I just try to make sure that you're clear. You've got to start anticipating that you're going to be turning down 50% of these, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So now if we know we need to have 12 listing appointments, the next thing that we need to think through is how many conversations about buying or selling, or excuse me, about listing and selling homes are we going to need to have to make that number a reality? And that's what we call a lead measure. In a moment here, I'm going to show you a simple formula to follow, but that's what we call a lead measure. So if I know I need to have 12 listing appointments, or if your number was 3, listings, and you're going to do 6, then you're going to need to know that number. Here's the number that we know, right? And I want to get really, really clear on this, is that it's taking on average about 50 conversations about listing or selling a home to set one listing appointment, right? To set one appointment. Now, some of us use different tech, and we've got call recording and 2-minute phone calls and all this, but the general number, very simply, is 50 in this current market. So if I'm going to do 50 times 12 listing appointments, that means I have to have 600 conversations with sellers between now and the end of the year, okay? Now, if we think about it, we've got what, September, October, November, December. Yeah, we got about 5 months left. I know there's another week left in here, but we got about 5 months, so that's 20 weeks, and we got 1 extra week, so 21 weeks is the number that we're going to use. So I'm taking 600, dividing it by 21, and that means I have to have 28 conversations with sellers every single week to set that amount of appointments, okay? So not overwhelming if your number, oh, sorry, I did that times 6. Sorry, 12 would have been that number, right? So 50 times 12, 600, yeah, still 600, divided by, what do we say, 21 weeks. Yeah, so 28.57, okay? So now if we're looking at that number, we can divide that either into 5 days, whatever it is, but now we know what we need to do. We know we need to have this amount of conversations to go out and have success to make sure that we're going to be where we need to be. Now, for some of you, the ratio might be 100 conversations for every one appointment. That's okay, right? It might be 30, it might be 75. Please write this down. I'll never know if I don't track. I'll never know if I don't track, right? So elite listing specialists and elite listing agents all track their data to see where they need to improve. Is it their presentation that's not quite hitting? Is it what they're saying? Is it their lead sources that they're not that hitting on? So that's why it's so important to make sure that we always know what our data is. So when we look at the formula, and as we look at this formula here, right, we're going to have absolute clarity, okay? So of course we're going to have absolute clarity, that's knowing our numbers. Then we're going to act on lead measures, which are conversations. And then in our world of Pulse, it's ambassadors. Now, if you're new and you're joining us for the first time and you don't know what an ambassador is someone that knows you, likes you, that you're in a real estate relationship with, meaning that you've built up this ability to, they look at you as their real estate agent of choice that would do real estate with you or refer you business. Now, some of us call that our sphere, but I want to warn you, you could have a sphere, but you might not have an ambassador, right? You could have people in your database that you know, but if I called them up randomly, asked them right now, if you had to list your house tomorrow, who would you list with? If they don't say your name immediately, they're not really an ambassador. They're a lead, they're an inquiry, they're an acquaintance, they're maybe your dry cleaner, your whatever it is. So what we're trying to focus on in this second part of that formula is always thinking about our ambassadors, right? And are we making progress on building real estate relationships? Now we have a whole nother class that we teach, and you can check us out on our YouTube channel for how to build your ambassador system, 46 touch system, all that fun stuff. That's all great. Then the next part is what we were just talking about. We've got to keep score. We've got to track our daily activities, right? This is what we call our Pulse Daily Scoreboard. And then we have our weekly scoreboard, and we put those numbers into some sort of analytic system so that we can get data, right? So just like a professional athlete, just like anyone else, they analyze their data to make sure that they understand exactly where those weak spots are, where their strong points are, so they can continue to improve, all right? And then the last part is you just gotta have little tiny wins every single week. So if we're looking at this and we're saying that you wanna only close 6 listings between now and the end of the year, and you've got 21 weeks to do it, then you're looking at how many appointments do I need to have a week to make that goal a reality? Let's just say for some of us, it's 1. If it's 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, and there's people on this webinar right now that are going on 7, 10, 15 listing appointments a week. I mean, there was plenty of times where I was on 10, 12, 14 listing appointments every single week. And when we're doing that, we're just starting out when I talk about winning the week to wake up with that clear understanding that I've got a goal this week. I have to set 1, 2, 3 listing appointments this week, whatever your number is for you to achieve your goals. Clear everything else out of the way and go, I'm going to attack, and make sure that I set an appointment. And I want to warn us, the challenge of doing this is if we only are trying to do that from our sphere, a relationship-based business, please write this down. On any relationship business, let's say that you have 100 people in your database that love you and like you. The odds of them selling in a 12-month period, the percentage is a 6% chance. I'm still allowed to say 6% when I use that number, which is great. I don't have to say 6 bananas because it's a 6% chance, right? So it's a 6% turnover, right? Think about it. In a neighborhood, usually most neighborhoods are 3 to 5 to 6%. So if you want to sell 6 listings a year, you have to be in great relationships with those 100 people, and I'm talking great relationships, to do 6 in a year. If you have 200, you're more on pace for 12, and you can do the math as you multiply that ahead. So for some of us, we might need to get 6 from our database, and then we need to get 6 from somewhere else, right? And we've got to get comfortable with what those other sources are, where they come from, how to execute on them. And that's exactly why we're really focusing on that here today. So we have a 4-part framework that will help you with this, right? First, we focus on the top lead sources. Then you have to establish the problem that you're solving for those lead sources. That's critically important, right? Once I decide on the lead sources that I'm going to become ninja master level at, I've got to decide what the problems are that I'm going to solve for them. Then I have to get very, very, very good at knowing what to say and how to say it. Okay? Remember, you get paid an absorbent amount of money to talk. Well, some of us get paid an absorbent amount of money, right? Others, not so much, because we haven't spent the time, the effort, the energy practicing our dialogues, our conversations, our objection handlers. Same way you would practice piano if you wanted to play a beautiful song, or the same way that you would practice golf if you want to shoot below 70 or 80, or in my case, 110, right? Whatever it is that your current goals are, right? You would have to practice that skill set. And then the last piece, framework number 4, is you have to build a machine. We're in the data business. Please write that down. I'm in the data business. Okay. So data is gold. And the game has changed so much with data now that we have so much ability to aggregate data, to use algorithms to tell us who might be the most interested, and then to have systems and tools working behind the scenes to provide us leverage that's nurturing these systems so we don't have to personally, right? That's a big piece of this is, we used to have an image all the time that I want to get in your mind. Do you have a listing machine, right? Like think about it like if you wanted to produce gold, right? Do you have a mining machine, or are you out there in the river with this little pan trying to sift through, trying to find a nugget here or there? That machine is the major difference of average or fantastic agents. So we're going to talk about how to build that today. All right. So let's talk about lead sources, and let's talk about the top lead sources, okay? Now, these are in exact order for a very specific reason. Now, again, for those that obviously know, expireds are always number 1 because they've already decided to list a home and they've already decided to pay a commission. For sell by owners are always number 2. They've decided to list their home, but they haven't decided if they want to use an agent yet, and they're not quite sure how much commission they want to pay, right? And that's the whole mindset right there. I have for sale by owners all the time that are going, I just wanted to kind of check it out and see if I could do it on my own. And here's the thing with for sale by owners, that is a beautiful part. They always overlist their property. They list it way high because they don't have anyone consulting them. And then we know, write this statistic down, 86% of all for sale by owners end up listing and selling with a professional listing agent. 86%. Why shouldn't that be you? That should be you. Let's make sure that it's you today. Okay? Then the next one, and this is one of my favorites that I think is probably the least one that people focus on, for rent by owner, FRBO, right? For rent by owner. These are people that are actively trying to rent their property, and you're calling them, and we're going to give you the dialogues to use here. You're going to call them to have a conversation with them and go, instead of renting this property and having to deal with another tenant and deal with all that stress, what if I could help you receive top dollar today's market, and then you could take that money and invest it in something else or put it into other properties, all of that, right? So that's just a mini script, but there's so many, or dialogue, there's a lot of different ways to attack this, but that's one that people don't really mess with, and it's a gold mine. Number 4, notice of elective demand, meaning that I'm 30, 60, 90 days past due on my mortgage. Now, let me talk about this one for a moment because I want you to get really clear. This one wasn't a big deal for a while because, again, everything was good in the world, all these things were happening. I just heard the latest statistic that the United States savings amount has gone down from 6.9% to 3.1%, meaning inflation's gone up, right? So inflation's gone up. The amount of everything costs more. We all agree, yes. Say yes in the chat box. Everything sucks and it costs more, right? And then number 2, people aren't making the same amount. So they're spending their savings or they're racking up credit cards. That now is going to hit a breaking point, a compression point where, again, I don't have the money to pay my mortgage. I've exhausted my savings. I've racked up the credit cards. I need to sell my house and I have equity in it, or some people don't, and wherever you're, people all over the nation joining us today. So why don't I help you sell your property to avoid foreclosure? It's a gold mine of a lead source. Now, the next one, just listed, or excuse me, just sold, right? So every day you wake up and you have this beautiful world of going, either you, someone in your market center, someone in your office sold a property, and now you have the ability to either call in a safe, regulated way or door knock and go, we just sold this home. We still have a ton of buyers that missed out on that opportunity. I was calling to see if you had any interest in selling because I have backup buyers. They either say yes, no. And if they say no, you go, that's fantastic. Well, because I have so many buyers here in Aurora all the time, if you were to move, where would you go next and when would that be? Now, again, we're going to do little mini clips of dialogues here, but it's a numbers game. Now with technology, we have different tools that can help us do all this. We have neighborhood search tools. We have different resources that can help you do all this and just make sure you're following all of the rules and safe with the providers, right? There's tons. Now, every time you're making that call, you got to remember this. Please write this down. It's never if, it's when. Every call that I make, I'm identifying when they're going to sell, not if they need to sell right now. And then all I'm doing is planting a seed. I'm either planting a seed of what would it look like in a perfect world that you would want to sell, or two, fear. Did you know right now that inventory here in XYZ neighborhood has increased by 40% in the last 4 months? 30, 20, 9, whatever the number is. I just wanted to give you a notice to make sure that you understand that our market hasn't corrected in over 10 years, 15 years, whatever it is in your area. And so we're starting to see a major shift in the market right now. And for the first time, prices are going down and they're going down dramatically. So if you're looking to get the most money possible between now and the next 3 years, it would be very, 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 very beneficial for me to at the very least come by and deliver a free market analysis to you so you can understand where your home is currently positioned. Are nights or weekends better for you? Okay, that's the game. That's the conversation. Now, again, the machine, update database, whatever they say, not ready now, maybe in a month, when Johnny goes back to college, when I get my pension, when I get my hip replaced, notes, 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 follow up, send a handwritten note card, send an item of value, love on them, love on them, love on them, check in with them on your database in a regularly scheduled time frame. You'll have more listing leads than you'll ever know what to do with on earth. Then the same one is number 6. It's just a different positioning. So just listed. Our amazing organization, or yourself, if you just listed a home, just listed this amazing property. We know it's going to sell very quickly. So I was reaching out to all the neighbors to see if you or anyone else you know might be interested in selling, because we know we're going to have a lot of backup buyers that miss out on this opportunity. Same thing that we just saw before. Blah, blah, blah. Update, update, update. Use your checkdowns that are all built into the conversation book that we're going to provide to you in the chat box, right? All of that is there. Then number 7, open houses. So you're going to host an open house this week. Same thing as number 5 and 6. You're going to call and just go invite the people in the neighborhood to the open house. Now, if you're going to call, great. You really want to increase this, you go out and door knock using these same scripts and dialogues. So today is Thursday. I have an open house on Sunday. Tomorrow I'm going to go door knock 50, 100 doors in the surrounding area of where my open house is going to be. And I'm going to use the same dialogue. Hey, I've got this amazing property that's going to be hitting the market that we have an open house scheduled for Sunday at 12 o'clock. I would love it if you had the opportunity to come by and provide any feedback that you think about the property. And also, if you happen to know of anyone that you think might be interested in purchasing them, I'd love to connect with them so that you can pick your own neighbor. And Susie, while I have a chance to talk to you, we know we're going to have backup buyers that are maybe not the right fit for that property. So can I ask you, if you were to sell, where would you go next? When would that be? Do you see a theme here? Do you see a theme that we're doing here? If you were to sell, where would you go next and when would that be? Now, whether you like the way I say things or you have different versions, there's 1,000 different versions of these conversation dialogues that you can use. But when you get comfortable with that, the whole goal of this is to continue to lead to when, not if. You're finishing with your door knocking. You've got detailed notes. You go back, update database, send handwritten note card saying it was so great to meet you, blah, 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 blah. If you get their email address, put them on your nurture program, put them on your monthly mailer, your newsletter, yada, yada, yada. Check in with them every quarter until the time is right, and sell, 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 sell. And then at the very bottom of the list here, you see the reason why we're going to Sphere at the end. Now, this is your database. And I was just down in San Antonio teaching, and a very great agent was like, I don't want to do any of those because I haven't even talked to everyone in my database yet. And I go, well, let's think through that, right? I can't even keep up with my database. Again, you're only going to get, and I'm saying 6% is a good number, churn of your database of people that are going to list in the next 12 months, right? 100, 200, 300, whatever's in your database. And be clear on this. Some of you have 2,000 person databases, but only 200 people actually know who you are in that database, right? So you don't have a 200 ambassadors. You have a 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 database of randos, inquiries, leads, Zillow lead that you bought from 9 years ago, right? That you're just like, one day they're gonna get my email and call me up and want me to list with them, or list them. So we've got to get really clear on this and make sure that we understand that. In that conversation with her, I go, well, I want to guarantee that I can set the amount of appointments that I need every month to deliver to my family, to my philanthropy efforts, to my legacy. And I can't do that with hoping and praying that my database is going to sell at some given time. Now, those naysayers, you might be going, well, what if they give me referrals? Again, not saying it can't be done, but as I'm going to show you here in just a moment, the concept that we have to fully understand, the highest resistance equals the highest reward. The highest resistance equals the highest reward. So let me explain to you what I mean by this. Okay, so think about this chart and understand this, and I'll explain it as best that I possibly can. On the left-hand side of this chart, we've got reward. And for us, reward is money, right? So if we want the highest amount of money in the shortest period of time, as you see on the bottom part of the graph there, then it goes in this exact order because I'm focusing on the people that can actually need to do something right now, and then I start working my way down to the bottom. Now, you can definitely still build a business based on Sphere, but look at the time difference. If I get good at my expired conversations and my expired door knocking and my expired letters and my expired value package, they need to sell now. The person they worked with didn't help them get there. Why would I not focus on them all the time? Now, doesn't mean you don't focus on the other ones, but if you're going to be focusing on Sphere, yes, you can build a business. And I hear people all the time go, I'm 90% Sphere based. And I go, how long have you been in the business? 13, 15, 17 years. How many deals you do? 9. Cool. Good for you, right? You're in the business 12 years doing 9 deals from your Sphere. You ain't going to ever be on any main stage. You ain't going to be helping anybody change your life. You're going to be flying coach with the chickens in the back, right? You're going to be doing average life. That's the lie in the mindset that we have to get broken out of. Highest resistance, highest reward. Now, when I use that word resistance, what do we not like in our life? We're trained to escape resistance. We're trained to avoid pain. And our pain, think about how silly this is in our business. Our pain is having someone tell us no at a door or on the phone. That's a lot less pain than being, let's say, I don't know, a professional boxer, or of my favorite, the UFC. I'm going to have some guy crush me with his arm lock and break my arm so I can get a paycheck. That's pain. That's true resistance. We get to have people tell us no, and it hurts our feelings, so we don't do it. Now, you have to fall in love with the concept of no is your friend. Every 29 no's is going to equal a yes, right? If you know your numbers. Now, as we said, 50 conversations to set one appointment. That doesn't mean you're going to have 49 no's. You're going to have probably 20 no's and a lot of not now, sometime in the futures. And then you're going to get to the one yes that goes, yes, right now. That's what we're trying to make sure that we really understand this as professional salespeople, as professional real estate agents. We're just whacking through no's and maybes and what ifs to get to that yes. And those that are most efficient at that, as you see on the left side, have the highest level of reward. But Brendan, I'm following this gal on Instagram and she's doing 40 deals a year from TikTok. Cool. Go to her class, right? I don't know what else to say, right? I see this nonsense all the time, right? They don't understand the difference, again, of how that whole game works on, I can build a business off of social media. I know one thing for sure. If you talk to people that are ready to sell right now about helping them sell, you're probably going to get business. That's a fact. So are you thinking about designing your business based on this graph or chart? I don't know what it's really called. A chart, I would imagine, is what it's called. Or are you doing it in reverse, or you're just doing the bottom hoping it's all going to work out? That's what we have to get real clear on today. Okay? The only reason we don't live in this upper quadrant, right, of expired, for sale by owner, for rent by owner, NED just sold, is because we haven't practiced enough, because we have rejection that comes with it, and because it's not part of our business plan or strategy. Now, I just had an agent that just joined our organization from Florida. His name's John, amazing guy, one of my favorite people. And he moved his business for health reasons. They couldn't live in the humidity. There was some other reasons. And I mean, let's be honest, who wants to, just kidding though. I won't make any Florida jokes. I lived in Florida for years. It's beautiful. But didn't want to live in Florida anymore, moves to Colorado, starting his business from scratch here. And he goes, Brendan, I've been doing real estate for 15 years, never called an expired in my life. He goes, so what do I need to do? Do I need to set up a newsletter here? I'm going to try to start tacking this neighborhood. I don't really have much of a sphere here because we just recently relocated. So what is all the money that I need to spend on marketing? Should I do brochures and flyers, and should I do this? And I go, John, let me help you here. Explain to him this concept, because John is an all-star. Next day, calls it expireds, talks to a builder that has an expired $5.2 million builder spec house that expired, has an amazing conversation with him, talks to him. The guy goes, yeah, the previous agent, we were just using her because she used to send me high-end remodel business for my construction company, but she doesn't do that great of a job. I'd love to meet with you. Can we have coffee? So think about that. Boom, opportunity, needs to sell, $5.2 million, is also a builder, future business from it. Also spoke to John, that other part of that story. He also had 12 people tell him no and not to call them again. Are you willing to get past the 12 no's, don't call me again, to get the one conversation from, and that's a great example, but it could have been a $500,000 house, a $200,000 house, a $100,000 house, anything on earth. Are we going to the highest resistance to get the highest reward? And are we building our calendar and our schedule around how to accomplish that? Okay? All right. Next up, part 2. We've got to think about what problems do we solve. And actually, Anna, just because it's 11:35, I'll stop here for a moment. Any questions? You can raise your hand. If you want, come off mute. Any questions about what we just went through thus far? Or any ahas, any eye-openers, or any hate mail? Do you just hate what I'm saying and you would like to discuss that? What do we go?
I think really just to kind of hone in on one of the main points you were making about your database. And I put the 46 touch program visual in the chat box for everyone to download. Really, that 6% comes down to the people that are your ambassadors, that are on a 46 touch, that know you, like you, love you. So we had some private DMs come through and just wanted some clarification on that. And that is different than everyone that's in your database.
I love it. Yeah, thank you. And then I saw the other question, what is NED? I hope I answered that. Notice of elective demand. People that are 30, 60, 90 days past due on their mortgage that are slipping into pre-foreclosure. And all of this data is all available to us every single day at the touch of a button. Everything for a minimal fee. And also there's free options, of course. I mean, there's all kind of free options, but if you're going to do this at a high level, you want high level data to make sure that you're in a position to do that. So you can research it, everything from Mojo, Vulcan 7, the Red X, PropStream is one of my favorite sites for skip tracing data. All of these things are at your fingertips, but are you playing? Ladies and gentlemen, we have to wake up and think about this. The old school game of I'm going to build my business by doing pop buys and dropping off cookies. You can build a business that way. I guarantee you, you won't build a 50, 70, 100 unit business in 3 to 5 years that way. I can promise you that unless you're doing 65 pop buys a day. There's just not numerically enough opportunity based on the math. But Brendan, I'm okay only doing 10, 12 deals. If I do 10, 12 deals a year, I'm happy. Then I would ask you to go back and think about who you're letting down. Is it your church? Is it your philanthropic goals? Is it your family in the future? Is it your quality of life soon to be ahead of you in the future? Get excited about getting stupid rich. Get excited about making a ridiculous amount of money and then feel guilt every day that if you're not going out all out to do it, why not? You're here for a short period of time on this earth. Why not fly private? Why fly coach? Why do some of these things that are just, yeah, it kind of sucks, but it's okay? Why stay at Circus Circus? Have you ever been to Vegas? Why stay at Circus Circus when you can stay at the Wynn? There's a very different experience. Don't do it. You don't have to. Get out of being comfortable with average or comfort. Okay? None of the top agents out there are working more than you. They're working smarter than you, and they've gotten comfortable with resistance. That's the game-changing difference. Okay? So, let me go back here. So, building your listing program, and we need to talk about this. All those lead sources we just talked about, great. If you don't have a product, a selling product to sell to them that solves their issues or problems, then you're calling up and going, hey, I saw your property came off the market yesterday. I was curious if you're still interested in selling. I've been in business for 10 years. I'm a pretty good agent. I'm trustworthy. I'm honest. I don't smell too bad. Would you be interested in meeting with me? It's very hard to sell yourself because everyone else is saying the same thing. So what's your product? What's your program? What is your solve for their pain? Do you have a sell it in 60 days or I'll buy it program? Do you offer a cash offer program? Do you offer a sold in 65 program where we sell your home with Colorado's most innovative home selling program in 65 hours or less with no open houses, no one-off showings for over asking price, or excuse me, or for record setting price per square foot in your area, right? What's special about you? What's special about your program? Do you offer staging? Do you focus strictly with people that have tenant occupied properties, right? People that are renting their places right now might still have tenants in place and they're going, I'm just trying to get the next renter, but I have somebody in place right now. I don't know if I could actually sell it with the tenant in place. I'm so glad I had the chance to speak with you. I focus and specialize in tenant occupied properties and I sell them all the time. May I explain? Right? So what problems are you solving? If it's the NED list, you don't call up and go, hey, notice that you're running out of money and you're probably going to go in foreclosure, sucker. I could probably help you sell because I want to get paid in a commission. No. What is your program? You're not even going to call and let them know that you know that they're in this financial issue. You're going to call and go, I was just giving you a ring. I work with investors that are looking to purchase properties for cash. I would love to take a look at your property and see if there's any way that I could possibly help you. Is nights or weekends better? Now, we're going to be talking through these conversations and these conversations books, but it doesn't matter when you really think about it. You've got to get clear on how many appointments, where am I going to get those appointments from, and what is the offering or program I'm going to build to make sure that I have value for those people. Ann.
Yeah, I just wanted on this note, I just dropped our seller options or our seller programs letter in the chat box. So if you guys are looking for some ideas on some of the seller programs you can offer, go ahead and download that and let us know if you have any questions.
Thank you, Anna. Yeah, yeah. Now, again, does some of this take a little time and setup? And do you have to Google and research things and talk to other people that are offering? I mean, I guarantee you, if you type into Google right now, sell your home in 60 days or I'll buy it, you'll have 10 agents on there that are doing it across the country, 100, and they're all happy to talk to you about their program as long as you're not competing in their market. They love to talk. We have huge egos as real estate professionals. We want to talk about why we're so good and why you should do it. And I'll be like, here's my documents, here's my stuff, here's my whatever, right? All these people are happy to help, but are you going and seeking the information you need to build the program that you need to have to get the amount of deals that you want to close? Okay, so what problems do you solve is critically important. Next up, know exactly what to say and how to say it, right? This is the third part of the framework. Can't stress this enough. We have to be really clear on we've got to follow a model. So we have our conversation book. There's about 10 different sales conversation books out there. I've seen everything from Keller Williams. We've used theirs and built it on all of these different things. There's different coaching companies that have it. There's all kind of different styles. But I guarantee you, if you're not practicing and getting into understanding that this is just a technique, it is just a simple framework for you to continue to carry conversations from a no to not a no to a win, right? To a not W-I-N, but a W-H-N, H-E-N. Good spelling, right? So if I paused this right now and I took one of you off of mute and I asked you to call me as if I was an expired, would you feel comfortable doing it live on this session? I'm not going to do it. Don't get nervous. And I'm not even saying comfortable. Would you be confident? And you'd be like, Brendan, let me come off mute and I'll rip fire. Then we need more practice. Then we're not there yet. And that's fine. Arlissa, do you pronounce it Arlissa? Arlissa, that's a beautiful name, right? I wasn't either. I barely finished the 8th grade, emancipated. I was in the social service system till I was 17, emancipated to the Army. The only words I learned in the Army were words I can't say on here, right? I had to learn all of this, all of the techniques, all of the strategies, because my vocabulary was probably a solid 10 swear words, and kind of still is when I'm not doing these, right, behind the scenes. But, right, it's all able to be trained and learned. And here's how you do it, okay? We've got to memorize and internalize. What do they call it? And when you're learning any type of sport or a music, muscle memory. We've got to build that muscle memory. It's so critical to do that. So how do we do it, right? We block out 60 minutes on our calendar and record ourselves reading each page of the sales conversation book, right? That's a very simple first step. You can record this on your phone. Obviously, this is our old school version of the recorder. If you don't have, I mean, some of you are still using Samsung, so you probably don't have a recording thing on your phone, but that's just a Samsung joke. What's it called? Not Samsung, Atari. What's the phone that no one uses that's not an iPhone?
Oh, the BlackBerry.
BlackBerry
Oh, BlackBerry.
or
Yeah.
Nokia.
No, Nokia. No, what am I thinking of? What's the opposite of an iPhone?
Android?
Android.
Android.
Android. Sorry, Android users. That was an Android joke that took a long time to get there. No hate on Android. It's just weird. Let's be honest, right? So we're allowed to have fun here. I love Android users just as much, except when you're text messaging me to my iPhone. So, right, we can record these scripts and sales conversations and dialogues into our phone, and now we have to brainwash ourselves and play them back over and over and over again. Back in the day, I had to do this with CDs that I got from the old school Mike Ferry coaching organization. And I would play them in my car, pull out the next one, put the next one in until the things burned out, right? Now, we also on our podcast have our 50 most common objections recorded. So that's Real Talk with Brendan Bartic. You can play that and hear the 50 most common objections you're ever going to hear on the phone over and over and over again. Okay? But we've got to learn these things. We've got to get reps in. We've got to get reps. Our mouth is our muscle. That's what we're trying to build here. But are you serious about this? Are you serious about stepping your game up? Or you jump off this webinar and you go, yeah, that was intense, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a couple Popeyes this week. Woohoo! You get paid at the level you practice. You get paid at the level you practice. What does your practice look like daily, weekly, monthly? Okay? Now, we also have to create an environment that really guarantees your success. Now, when we're looking at environment, this is a picture from my old office wall where you see a couple of things: a mirror, my calendar, all of my dialogues, all of my objections, not even all of them, my main ones, and I have them in front of me. I have osmosis kicking in. If you could see my wall behind here in my office, same situation, right? I need to be in love with this. I need to be impassionate. The reason for the mirror is not because I want to look at my goofy head. It's because I'm checking my energy. I'm checking my posture. Am I going with my Italian hands to enunciate things on the phone so I'm excited every time you want to sell your house, right? Am I getting excited about this? That's what the mirror is. It's a check for me to go, all right, it's 11 o'clock. You've just done 10, 15, 25, 40 calls. I'm kind of sitting down. I'm just going, hey, it's Brendan. Want to sell? Sup? Right? It's my checkup from the neck up. This is what top producers do. This is what the elite of the elite do. And now in creating your environment as well, you need to have tools. Now, one of my good friends and an amazing real estate agent, Brant, who may or may not be on here, right? I was telling him about my favorite headset. I love AirPods. AirPods are great, definitely game changer. But we have what's called a Tiger headset. It's what truck drivers use. It has a noise canceling microphone. You can get them on Amazon for 79 bucks. And you can drone out a lot of noise if you're in a busy office. They can hear you perfectly. It's very comfortable. And when I put that on, it's like putting on my football helmet to go knock out the 60 minutes that I need to go crush this Super Bowl. I put that on and I'm in lead gen mode and let's rock and roll. So are you that ready to get that kind of environment going? Are you that structured to be willing to play this game at the highest level? Okay. And then we have to master the art of the alternative close. Now, you heard me just not spitballing, just kind of workshopping some of the dialogues. You'll always hear me end in today at 1, tomorrow at 4. Our nights or weekends better, right? We just call this an alternative tie down. I know there's other things that are called for it. Oh, thank you, Amy, for the Android. I couldn't think of that for the save my life. Right, master the art of the alternative close. What kills you is you going, yeah, so would tomorrow at 10 work for me to stop by? No, I'm super busy then. Oh, okay. Actually, I hear my wife calling me in the background. If we think of anything, I'll just give you a call back. You have to get very quick at this alternative close, and every single thing you ever do has to end with that rhythm. You've got to practice this with your family, right? Like anything we're going to do. Hey, you want to go to sushi tonight? Yeah, does tonight at 1 work, or should we go tomorrow at 3? Whatever or not 3, I guess, 6. right? Whatever it would make more sense. I guess you could have sushi at 3, it's delicious. Okay, so master the alternative close, nights or weekends, today at this, tomorrow at that, today at this, because they have to respond without saying no. That does not work for them. And if they say no to both, have a third alternative always ready, right? And then the last thing, step 4, build your machine. Build the most powerful listing machine on earth. And in doing that, it starts with your schedule. If you want to build a listing machine, this is our elite schedule. This is what an elite performer looks like every single day. So I'm up at 5:30 in the morning. I'm going through my morning mastery program, right? I'm doing my meditation, my affirmations, my sales conversation practice. I'm doing 2 notes of gratitude, my exercise, my reading, and my YouTube watching to learn from other pros out there. That's my mastery experience. If you want to know more about mastery, go to our YouTube page. We have an entire video on how to complete the mastery program. Then from 6:30 to 7, I'm getting ready. And now I get it. Don't be like, well, I can't do that. I have kids. I understand your schedule might change vary, but get something down like this. Do you even have a schedule? If it's not this one, type up a one that looks like it, that works for you, that's similar. But are you following a schedule? But Brendan, I got into real estate for freedom. How's that paying you? Stop living in chaos. 7:30 to 7:45, I'm going to review my sales conversations. I'm going to make sure that I'm calling people in a TCPA manner. And then from there, in order, I'm going to start lighting up the phones or lighting up doors. Then I'm going to do that until noon because it takes that amount of time. Now, some of you might be 2 hours. You got to warm up. Don't freak out and go, man, I'm going to lead gen for 4 hours a day. Yeah, if you want to make $1 million, $1.5 million, $2 million, yes. Every hour less that you lead gen, just disseminate down to how much less you're going to make every single year. That's the easiest way to think about it. But if you build this muscle and you understand that when you're consistently doing 3 to 4 hours of listing lead gen and that you're starting making so much money, maybe here's what you do. You only do it 3 days a week. So now you have a 3-day work week, 4 days to do whatever you want, but you're just real serious on those 3 days. It's all up to you. Are you a sprinter or a marathon runner? You can design this however you want, but it's got to be a regiment. It's got to be a routine. As we see down there, a goal without a routine is just a dream. And a lot of us are dreaming right now. Then role play, I've got to practice. So now I just went out and used all my best stuff. I now need to go back and go, I got stuck on this. Ooh, that one, I got lit up on that one. I need a role play partner or a company or a team that has role play, or I need to start my own role play group. Then 1 to 2, I'm going to take all of this data. Now, if you're me, here's what I warn you. Do not, when you're building this machine, when you get off of a successful call and they're like, yeah, we're going to be ready in 6 months, just write all your notes on a piece of paper and keep going. What the average does is they stop there immediately, get so excited, and they start doing all this stuff in the database, and you lose your momentum, you lose your rhythm. Write all your notes down, keep them really clear, unless you can type at 90 miles an hour while you're on the phone with the person. I can't do that. And then I'm on to the next call. I'm on to the next call. I'm on to the next door, whatever it is that your style is. Okay. Then from 2 to 6, you're going to be on appointments. And believe me, you're going to start having a lot of appointments. Or if for that random day that you don't, continue to lead gen until you set another appointment. Okay. So we talked about this yesterday. You have 2 jobs every single day. Set 1 listing appointment and make somebody in your database feel special. Set 1 a listing appointment, make somebody in your database feel special. You do those 2 things 5 days a week, 40 some odd weeks out of the year, you will be extremely wealthy. Guaranteed. Okay, so build that machine from that mindset. Then you got to maximize the conversation. Now we'll put these in the chat box for you. If you're going to call someone, now you have to have a structure of when they say yes or maybe or interested to ask all the right questions so you're not having to spitball. So we have a seller profile and a buyer profile. Well, we're just going to give you the seller profile because we're talking listing leads today, right? Seller profile. These are the things I'm trying to identify that I need to know for the future, especially if I set the appointment, to go to the appointment and be successful. So if I know my goal this week is to set 5 listing appointments, I'm going to have 5 of these printed out, sitting on my desk and staring at me every day going, you got to get rid of me to hit your goals. You have to get me completed to reach your goal. So be smart about this. Be serious about it. Are these printed out and ready to rock and roll for when you are ready to hit those appointments? And then always set a follow-up and always, of course, provide value. Now, whether you're using Command or a different database or whatever database you're proud of, we got to take detailed notes, aggregate the system, and then send value. Whether that's a handwritten note card, a market analysis, a market stats, whether that's a invite to your client appreciation event, whether that's an invite to your seller seminar, whether that's whatever it is that you're going to provide for value, we've got to get them receiving things to stay top of mind all the time so we can build that relationship. All we do is provide value, provide education, provide all of these pieces so that when that time comes, I'm ready to help you sell your house. And then the last thing, leverage the data, right? Use your CRM to aggregate the information to see who's the most interested. Now, if you're not using Fellow, maybe your database isn't big enough for Fellow yet, but it's a listing aggregate data system from Ryan Young, a great Keller Williams agent. Shout out to Ryan, right? We have tools, we have things that can do this, that can tell us who's interested, who's looking at our emails, who's opening things, who has the highest propensity score right now to actually do something based on what they owe, how long they've lived there. All of this data is at our fingertips. But if every day we're going, I'm supposed to call these 5 people because they were the next 5 in line, that is not going to serve you. Focus on the people that are doing the right things to look at and know, hey, this person's interested. Let me focus on them, what we call a hot. All right? So pro tips. You want to have unlimited listing appointments? Work when your competition won't. Nights and weekends. You want to call expireds or for sale by owners? Call Saturday and Sunday when 99% of your competition won't do it. If you want to connect with more people on a rent by owner basis, if they're renting a property, they might be at work during the day. Are you in a position to call them at 6:30 at night? Can you do a 30, 40-minute call session twice a week, 3 times a week from 6 to 7 p.m., 7 to 8 p.m.? Remember, no matter when you set an appointment, do everything in your capacity to never set that appointment before 12 o'clock. Because that way, the next time you do, you're giving up your lead generation opportunity to keep this pace for the next day. Create weekly carrots and sticks. So when I hit my conversation goal by Thursday at 3 p.m., 1 p.m., 2 p.m., I get to go snowboarding or mountain biking on Friday, or whatever it is that you're into, or wherever it is that you live. I get to walk the dog. I get to get a pedicure, a manicure, a massage, whatever it is that your jam is. And then your stick, if I don't hit my numbers by X time, then the pain is I've got to go door knock 50 doors on Saturday. And my family knows this. So they're all rooting for me going, Mom, why are you walking around and not on the phone? So I'd really like to see you take us to Legoland on Saturday instead of having to go door knock because you didn't do your job all week. And then never skip practice, right? Never skip leg day, right? We got to hit the hard stuff. It sucks. The next day, you can't barely sit down. It's painful, but we got to get that work in. All right. So remember, we have a formula. Do you have a formula and are you utilizing the formula? Right? That's all we're thinking about is building that every single time. Now, I'll open this up for a few minutes for questions, but if you want to get more information, stay connected. Hook me up on Facebook. I'm always posting all kind of free stuff. We're doing free webinars all the time. LinkedIn, Instagram. And if you haven't heard our YouTube channel, it's a banger. There's probably over 600 informational videos on that YouTube channel for every subject that you could possibly having questions about right now. And then of course our Real Talk podcast, we'd love for you to actually check that out as well. So Anna, I finished on time with 1 minute to spare. Any questions from the audience, the group, or anything that I didn't cover that I can help provide clarity on?
Folks, this is your opportunity. Jump in the chat box or raise your hand. And don't forget, we dropped a lot of resources in the chat box throughout the presentation today. We'll make sure you guys get copies in the follow-up as the recording of this presentation went out. We're going to wait for this chat box to come in as far as questions go, but any final thoughts from you, Brendan? Any last
No.
takeaways?
Yeah, no, I just appreciate everybody spending the time to come and join us on this. I know sometimes I can be a little aggressive and passionate, but I just am passionate about people, going out and getting what they want. And I think, it's not hearing the easy answer. If this was a social media class, here's the thing I hate, Anna. If this was called sell real estate through social media, we would have had 900 people on here today. 900. Because it's the easy button. We think it's the easy button, but it's a lie that we tell ourselves that doesn't make us any money, right? All the top people are doing high resistance, high reward. All this other stuff is going, I wish there was a better, faster, cheating way to do this. There is not. There is not. I'll say there is not. There is not immediately. Can social media build a great business around that? Yes. I guarantee you put me side by side or all the top agents against anyone that's building a business on social media versus a business that is aggressively focused on listings and outbound generation of those, you're talking a 90% difference in production, easily guaranteed, unless you're Ryan Seahart or Sarah Hunt or whatever, and you got the golden ticket of being a hand model with a beautiful face. I don't know if all of us have that same opportunity, right? So we've got to deal with what we can deal, focus on the small, control what you can control, and show up every day with a strategy, and nothing can stop you. So everyone, thank you for spending this hour with us. If there's anything we can do in the future to serve you, please don't hesitate to reach out and go attack some listings. Take care, everyone.